Burger King. But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. How's everybody doing tonight? We have a bunch of interesting bullshit to look at. There have been some suggestions of videos related to some wild bullshit called the woke right, so I decided to just do a search for that and see what I could find. And so there's some of that. There's also some lib shit over from the libs at Pod Save America. So I thought we might start out. We got a short one on whatever the fuck the woke right is. So I think we'll get started with that. This is called Thou Shalt Not Criticize the Woke Right by some channel with the truly promising name Trigonometry. Wow, that's a very clever pun.
Thou shalt not criticize the woke right.
Really? I mean, I guess I have obeyed this commandment by never having heard of them? Like, okay, who is Winston Churchill the woke right? Is that the idea? Are Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson one admirer of Hitler and who's quite open about it, and one who is almost open about it? Are they the woke right? Who's the woke right?
Few people now remember what the word woke meant before it became an insult.
Okay. I'm very curious now whether he actually knows. I've never heard of this guy, but we're about to find out.
These days it is used by those of us who believe in reality to mock the lunatic fringe of the left.
That's what you're doing. Okay, thanks for clearing that up, because it just sounded like you were doing Nazi bullshit.
But it was not always thus. While the word has come to mean an ideology obsessed with victimhood, identity, and the falsification of history,
I mean, when you describe that, it actually kind of sounds like what you guys like to do.
To suit today's political agenda, those who once proudly called themselves woke intended something else.
Really?
It was at that
recent timeline. Wait, okay. A likely first example of Stay Woke is a hashtag by Erykah Badu in 2012. No, it's older than that.
time self-congratulatory label, which meant, first and foremost, being aware of and actively attentive to important facts and issues, especially in relation to racial and social justice. As has been discussed ad nauseum, in practice what this awareness of facts pertaining to various forms of justice meant
is awareness of facts, and right-wingers don't like facts very much.
Was a
Because the facts don't care about their feelings, and they care very much about their feelings, and that makes them very angry at facts. Also, the lighting clearly doesn't care about his feelings, because this looks... he's like an animated morgue photo.
Framework in which certain groups were victims and other groups were victimizers. Some groups were suffering, and their suffering was the responsibility of other groups.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, isn't that so weird how people who are suffering from being murdered by cops and living under the threat of constantly possibly getting murdered by cops would suggest that maybe cops had something to do with their suffering? I mean, that's such a wild take. That is so, I mean, you can see where he gets this.
Which had conspired to mistreat and take advantage of them. But a conspiratorial worldview of this nature cannot be maintained on faith alone. Explanations had to be given for why this false narrative was in fact not false at all.
Okay, he hasn't actually given the false narrative. Like, what is the narrative? You haven't given a narrative.
First, and highly relevant to our imminent discussion of the woke right, the woke left never claimed that the arguments they were making were true.
Wait, what? What? The woke... Okay, did I mishear that?
Right, the woke left never claimed that the arguments they were making were true.
Really? That's, like, who's the woke left that never claimed that they were saying things that were true? Like, what? This is new. This is a whole... I mean, I'm used to right-wingers taking the word woke and doing weird things to it, but I was not ready for that one.
Instead, rather than attempting to prove the impossible, they wisely made an entirely different claim.
What's the entirely different claim now? Come on, I can't wait for this.
Truth, they argued, is merely a linguistic projection of power.
Literally no one argued that.
The powerful brainwash the rest of us into seeing the things they want us to believe as the truth.
Well, I mean, that is... okay. Accepting that as a not particularly cogent way of phrasing a fairly valid statement, then they are arguing that what they're saying is true. What they are saying... they are, however, saying that because of dominant ideology, it is obscured. That's not the same thing as not arguing that what they're saying is true. That's just saying that you have to actually unpack ideological assumptions in order to understand it.
To claim that something is true is to abuse the power you have over others.
To claim that something is true is to abuse... what? The power you have over others? Chat, help me out here. Have you ever heard anyone ever make that argument?
It is an act of linguistic violence.
Like, I mean, he's just making this shit up. Like, I've never even heard, like, right-wingers make this kind of bullshit claim before. He's just making this stuff up right now, I think.
This is why if you were to assert that you know how many genders there are, or quote facts about contentious social issues, such as police violence against minorities, that would be used as evidence of your poor character and nefarious intent.
Well, no. I don't think so, actually, because the people that you're, like, attacking here, my dude, like to point out facts about police violence and the knowledge of how many genders there are. I think what you're saying, actually, is people who deny facts that are inconvenient to reactionary narratives get criticized, which is true.
All it showed was
this is some guy called Konstantin Kisin, who I've never heard of, talking about the woke right. But first he's taking us on a wild fucking ride through his idea of what wokeness is. I mean, but we haven't gotten to the woke right. Shakespeare had posted a bunch of suggestions related to the concept of the woke right, which I've never... I'd heard the phrase, but I'd never heard anyone explain what the fuck it is. And I'm sure it is buck wild. So I decided to just do a little search and see what I came up with. And this is a short video called Thou Shalt Not Criticize the Woke Right. And the thumbnail included a picture of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and Winston Churchill for some reason. I guess they're the woke right?
Your bias, fragility, and so on. If this sounds a little abstract, a more concrete and even more relevant example is what the wokesters did to history.
The wokesters.
They attempted to destroy, both physically and reputationally, anything about the past that served as a reminder of the achievements of our society.
Like what? For example? I'm sure you got an example of this.
Statues were torn down and...
Oh, statues are history, you see. I mean, they are. That statue's about to be history for sure.
defaced. Historical figures on whom we'd looked with pride or to whom we looked for inspiration were attacked.
I mean, who's we, though? Because I think the reason that a lot of people don't look... I think the reason they might be doing this to Churchill is that a lot of people do not look on him with pride because he was a piece of shit who murdered a huge number of people. I mean, he terrorized Ireland, starved people in Bengal. Yeah, I mean, a piece of shit and a out-and-out white supremacist. So, I mean, personally, I don't know. I don't know that I would be so open about being proud of him.
Why? Because history, and the truth more broadly, is to humans what roots are to trees.
Oh, so the idea is that if you don't have statues lionizing Winston Churchill, then there is no history about Winston Churchill. I don't know if you just got in, but he was starting out by saying that wokesters do not claim to be that the things that they are arguing are true because truth is epistemic violence. That's like, right.
It is a way of knowing which way is up and which way is down. Strip a people of their history, destroy the concept of truth itself, and they're left unmoored, floating in limbo, pushed and pulled in random directions by every new seductive force that comes along. As Hannah Arendt powerfully explained, the constant lying is not aimed at making...
I mean, what's great about this is that she's literally talking about guys like this.
...the people believe a lie, but at ensuring that no one believes anything anymore. The people who can no longer distinguish between the truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. And such a people, deprived of the power to think and judge, is, without knowing and willing it, completely subjected to the rule of lies.
I mean, she's talking about you, dude. She's talking about how much you suck.
With such a people, you can do whatever you want. The woke logic operates like this. There are good and bad identity groups. You can't trust anything you've been taught about history or anything you're being told today because your beliefs are based on lies spread by people who are in control of society.
Well, I mean, okay, but then that they are making a claim about what is true and what is not true. And you were just saying a minute ago that they were not making a claim that anything is true. But if you're saying something is a lie, then very clearly you are making a claim related to whether something is true or not, actually.
There is another select group of people, us, who understand what's really going on, and we're bravely raising awareness of the issue. Anyone who disagrees with us or criticizes us is doing so because they're a bad person, and their criticism and disagreement...
Well, I mean, so far you've given me no reason to doubt that you're a bad person. Have you ever considered that maybe you might just be one?
Agreement just proves that we are right and they're bad. The woke revolution which occurred over the last 10 years was bad enough.
I missed the woke revolution. I totally slept on this. When was the woke revolution?
But the iron law of reality is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
No, that isn't the iron law of reality. That is a Newtonian law of physics.
Having lived through a decade of this race Marxism which spread through our elite institutions like
race Marxism
and aggressive cancer, I believe we're now witnessing the emergence of an equivalent phenomenon on the fringes of the right.
I mean, what? Okay.
Tucker Carlson has just hosted a man called Daryl Cooper on his show, describing him as maybe the best and most honest popular historian in the United States. Cooper...
Okay, who the hell? I've never heard of this guy. Daryl Cooper, was it? He's a podcaster and writer. The Martyr Made podcast. Let's see. He's been a guest on Joe Rogan and fucking Tucker Carlson. He's also been accused of downplaying Nazi crimes, engaging in Holocaust revisionism, and has been labeled a Nazi apologist. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like the sort of person I would expect fucking Tucker Carlson to be having on.
Who goes by the online moniker Martyr Made, is indeed incredibly honest. In addition to...
Okay, this may be putting it too crudely for some, but the picture on the left of Hitler marching through Paris was infinitely preferable in virtually every way than the one on the right. Oh, the Paris Olympics show. Oh, yeah, that gives you a feel for fucking Daryl Cooper, certainly.
To thinking that Adolf Hitler, a genocidal mass murderer, strolling through the Paris he had just conquered...
But you were just saying that we should honor genocidal mass murderers. I mean, you were objecting to people not, like, kissing Churchill's ass.
...is highly preferable to drag queens. Cooper also explained that Churchill was the chief villain of World War II. The thread he posted on X following his interview with Carlson is so historically illiterate that every major claim he made was debunked on X.
I mean, actually, yes, Churchill did blame Jews for communism. He was deeply anti-Semitic. I'm just looking at some of these.
Itself, within hours with community notes, and...
Yeah, well, if there's a community note, that automatically means the community note is true.
In articles published by prominent historians, such as Victor Davis Hansel, Neil Ferguson, and others. But this video is not about Cooper. I do not...
Okay, then who's it about?
...find him remotely interesting. There are and have always been lying charlatans and overconfident fools. What is interesting is the warm welcome he received on Tucker Carlson's show and what that represents.
Well, I mean, it represents the fact that fascists are taking the mask off. But they've been doing that for a while.
The woke right, for which Carlson is the undisputed spiritual leader...
Okay, Tucker Carlson is the woke right, okay.
...is feeling its way to a logic of its own. It is far from being fully formed.
Oh, I mean, okay, first of all, the idea here is that this is something new. This is Tucker Carlson. There is an ideological term for guys like Tucker Carlson. Has been for a while. They are called paleoconservatives. They are sort of isolationist in foreign policy, reactionary in social policy, and generally sort of skeptical of, foreign intervention and shit like that, and very xenophobic. And they tend to be anti-Semitic as hell. I mean, that you can take that as read. This isn't a new thing. In fact, it's funny that he's talking about, they're trying to make sure that you can't do the history. Well, what's the point of pretending that this is some new thing that requires a new term, if not to notice that there is actually a very long tradition of this on the right? That, I mean, Tucker Carlson is actually, if anything, a popularizer of something that other reactionaries did, I mean, to the extent that you can call it this, the intellectual heavy lifting.
It goes something like this. You can't believe anything you're being told.
Like, right-wingers have been say that all the time. Like, all of them say that. You know, there's a liberal bias in the media. The media is communist, so you can't believe anything. Science is communism. All this sort of thing. I mean, they do this all the fucking time. Like, that isn't a distinguishing feature of Tucker Carlson.
Look how they lied to you about Trump. True. COVID.
Well, I mean, like, here, he's proving my point. This is just normal shit that they do.
True, and...
Motherfucker, you can't, like, you can't do this. You're saying that this is a distinguishing feature of the woke right, at the same time as you were demonstrating that it's not.
Biden winning the 2020 election. False.
Wait, what? Is he saying it's false that Biden won the election, or it's false that there was lying about it?
True. COVID. True. And Biden winning the 2020 election. False.
Okay. I think he's saying that it's not true that people lied about Biden winning the election, but people did lie about that in saying that he didn't. That was them lying about him winning. So is he saying both sides of that were right? Like, or did he just not write well? I think he did a bad writing.
They also lied to you about everything else. We don't claim to know the truth. We're just asking questions.
This is literally the entire fucking right-wing grift, though. This is literally what they're always doing. This isn't I mean, I find this fascinating. Because you could easily explain, you know, the ideological differences. I think they probably... I've never heard of this Kisin, but he doesn't like specifically Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Both basically, I mean, she's an open admirer of Hitler. They both also, not because they give a shit about Palestinians, but actually, in their case, because they are anti-Semitic as fuck, are critical of Israel and U.S. support for it, and are happy to engage in conspiracy mongering about why that support happens, because they refuse to acknowledge U.S. imperialism. I think, so I'm wondering what the actual ideological fault line is that he's trying to avoid acknowledging here. Yeah, just asking questions. This is what they all fucking do.
But we know what the truth is not, whatever the elites are telling you. Look how triggered they are by us just asking questions.
Again, like, this isn't... The difference is not that there are some reactionaries who do this and some reactionaries who don't do this. The difference is what they're doing it about.
That's evidence of their bias and fragility. It proves we are right. This is where historical revisionism comes in. Just like the woke left, the woke right has come to hate the West for the reasons I detailed in my previous video. But what is more, the what else are they lying about question is a slippery slope down which you inexorably slide if it becomes the lens through which you see the world.
Well, I mean, it depends what you do with it, actually. You say, I mean, the thing is, if you're serious and you're honest, and you realize that there have been some serious fucking lies told about, say, the role of your country in the world. And you realize, and you see, like, you know, documentary proof that you've been lied to about that shit. I mean, it abounds. Like, declassified documents are coming out kind of, like, every year that demonstrate that, I mean, dominant ideology lies about the U.S. role in the world in order to make it look good when actually not so much. Then you might say, yeah, then it is reasonable to say, okay, what else is bullshit? But then then you go about it seriously with a skeptical and analytical mindset to say, okay, what's the evidence for it? And is there any evidence that says otherwise that is of equal or better quality than the evidence that you're being given? But that's not what any of these motherfuckers is doing. That's not how they're doing it. I mean, what they're doing is exactly the thing he's accusing the wokesters of. Namely, okay, here are some things that are bullshit because I said so, and therefore everything is bullshit except for the things I tell you are true. I mean, that is literally what the entire fucking right-wing noise machine does all the time.
Just as a woke leftist sees a conspiracy against him that he calls systemic racism in every workplace, classroom, and interaction, so a woke rightist sees a conspiracy against him in every institution, media publication, and historical consensus. Importantly, disagreement and criticism only reinforces his belief in the conspiracy.
There's also a difference between a historical consensus that a thing happened and an evaluation of whether that thing was a good thing. Like, there's a historical consensus that Winston Churchill was a genocidal racist and deeply anti-Semitic, and, yeah, I mean, pretty incompetent about just about every other task that he had in government other than war. Like, every other task that he was handed, he sucked at completely, and he had no interest in it. War, he was, like, war was the one thing that he was any good at. There's a historical consensus about those things. Now, the actual disagreement that this guy does not want to address is whether a guy who is like that, who is, historians agree is a guy like that, is somebody who we should be having statues to and treating as some kind of a fucking hero and lionizing, or whether maybe he's actually kind of a bit of a cringe figure in our history. It is the valuation of the facts, not whether the facts occurred. But he doesn't want to talk about that, so he's making it like this shit.
Note how this is an exact mirror image of the woke left's approach to debate. Put forward false assertions, make no attempt to back them up when challenged, and use the criticism you receive as evidence of both your right.
I mean, this is him doing, again, the thing that he's accusing people of doing. I mean, it's very cute.
And your righteousness. The one element that is still missing, which is why the ideology has yet to properly take shape, is that the scapegoat group behind the conspiracy is still unclear.
No, it isn't unclear. It really is not unclear. The reason they're saying the reason he says it's unclear is because there's some scapegoats that they're happy to acknowledge and share in scapegoating, like, say, queer people or black people, or, you know, people of color generally, U.S. imperial rivals for the most part. And then there are ones where they want to be a bit more careful, like Jews, where they don't want to say openly necessarily and be openly anti-Semitic, but because some deniability is needed in order to be acceptable in polite company, and then pretend to actually be objecting to anti-Semitism when you are attacking people who oppose Zionism, or whether you don't give a shit about that and are open about it, like Candace Owens is.
To the woke left, straight white men are the obvious source of the world's evils.
Right, okay.
But the woke right has struggled to find an equally plausible culprit.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that right-wingers are just so bad at, it's finding scapegoats. They never do it. It's not in their nature. Like, I mean, you'd never hear right-wingers scapegoating people.
They've experimented with globalists, Marxists...
Which, okay, so, like, globalists, i.e. Jews.
...and elites. But none
I mean, okay.
of them fit the bill because they do not readily conjure an image of the suspect group in the mind of the average.
It's interesting that, I mean, you could come up with plenty of examples. I cited some of the most popular ones. But he doesn't want to acknowledge them, because to acknowledge them would be to acknowledge that you know, they're all doing the same bullshit.
Sure. If you asked 10 woke writers to draw a picture of a globalist, a Marxist, or a member of the conspiratorial elite...
I mean, you can bet that the nose on that motherfucker's gonna be big.
They'd likely struggle.
Well, they'd struggle depending on how likely they are to want to be open about it.
And because elites is what they've gone with for the moment, the logic doesn't really work. when most people on the woke right...
Well, since when have any of them cared about the logic working?
think of the elites, they imagine a cabal of senior Democrats, billionaire funders, and the leaders of other major institutions. The problem with that is that it's extremely difficult to believe that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are orchestrating a conspiracy, given that they appear unable to get through a press conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm going to come to the overflow room.
I don't want to know. Okay, I'm glad I wasn't in the overflow room.
This is where the war in Israel has come in handy.
The war in Israel.
For people like Candace Owens, another darling of the woke right, whose ignorance and conspiratorial delusions are matched only...
I mean, it's interesting. It's the war in Israel, not even like the Israel-Hamas war or the war in Gaza, which is also kind of an obscene statement, without serious qualification.
By her charisma and bombastic arrogance, it has provided the opportunity to hone in on something a little more tangible. She currently spends most of her time debating weird rabbis and ranting online about Frankists. I don't claim to know what she means exactly, but for some reason her audience pepper her tweets with replies encouraging her to just say Jews.
I mean, she does kind of just say Jews, though.
Whether the rest of the woke right moves in this direction remains to be seen. For now, on the mainstream right, the taboo against associating with illiterate Nazi apologists of the type that Carlson's just hosted has held up remarkably well.
Oh wow, it's held up remarkably well, has it? Like Nick Fuentes goes everywhere. Like fucking Charlie Kirk has worked with outright neo-Nazis quite often. I mean, yeah, that taboo is like, that dam is holding, right?
We'll see if that remains the case over the months to come.
It already isn't the case.
For an actual history of Churchill, by the way, I recommend our discussion with historian Andrew Roberts, or the conversation he had with Douglas Murray here on YouTube.
Douglas Murray, oh, there's a great source right there, like an explicit white supremacist. I mean, on a certain level, that's not bad though, because, like, when you admit that that's the kind of guy who thinks that Churchill rocks, you're admitting what kind of guy Churchill was.
He was involved in 3 car crashes, 2 plane crashes. He went into no man's land in the First World War some 30 times. He got so close to the German trenches he could actually hear them speaking in their trenches. He once said that there's nothing...
Like, who cares?
So
he also sent death squads to Ireland and starved Bengalis. Like, who gives a fuck?
Exhilarating in life is to be shot at without result.
Well, yeah.
Deselect him.
Wow. So this is they're just glazing Churchill. And let me tell you, Churchill, he had a knob as big as all outdoors. They had to widen the door to Downing Street, number 10, in order for him to be able to get his tremendous knob in the door. They had, in Whitehall too, it would easily reach from the Speaker's chair to the Great Hall.
And every single thing that he said turned out to be right, and everything that they said turned out to be wrong.
Who's they?
If you enjoy these videos, please...
Okay, so what they mean by... I mean, okay, that's very interesting to me. That for some reason they don't want to just say paleocons. But there we go. Very interesting. Okay, we're gonna move on and look at some lib bullshit over at Pod Save America.
The latest images out of Gaza have shocked the world.
Oh no, wait a second, that's not the one I was looking for. I wanted... Trump just torched America's alliances.
Hey guys, it's Tommy Vitor.
Oh, that's members only. Shit, okay. No. Okay. Destiny. Okay, maybe let's do some Destiny.
I'm asking if you can hire employees. That was my question.
Destiny debates ex-orbiter turned socialist. Like, can I just say that when did we start using this term orbiter, and when can we stop?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna, if any of you dicks say I'm not answering this question directly, I'm going myself on stream in a video game, okay? Can you hire employees in my ideal system?
Yes.
The answer is no. You would have to go to the capital owners, which are the public in this case, and get them to capitalize your business. And you'd have to
Hola, Tomás, ¿cómo estás?
have a shared ownership structure.
Welcome to the show. We have an audible connection now. So let's just get this on the road and we'll get to it. So welcome. Yet another episode of WIC TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural from the field of Syria.
Cross-ideological space?
Econoboy asked me to set this up because he felt that it would be a more productive discussion to have kind of like a
Correction, Wick, correction already, moderator interference. The people asked for this to be set up.
No, the people asked.
The people.
Okay.
So,
So the
let's be
circleism
accurate.
strikes already. Okay, well, voice of the people, Econoboy, why don't we do this? We're just debating on capitalism and socialism today, and the first question I have.
Okay, this will be interesting because previously when Steve the Sex Pestiny has debated on this subject, it has become very apparent that he knows nothing about it and has not bothered to read anything. I mean, granted, that is kind of his pattern in general. It'll be interesting to see if maybe he's cracked a book in the past few years. I don't think he will have.
For Econoboy, and we're going to give the mic to him, is when you say you're a socialist, what do you mean? Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought we were doing opening statements.
This is your opening statement. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about my position, so I figured doing this discussion directly
Oh, okay, I was wondering if we were not going to get to see him this whole time. Un pajero.
But, I don't know, help clear some of that up at the very least. I know a lot of people don't listen, okay, so hopefully they will today. To answer that question right off the bat, socialism is...
I'm not familiar with any of these dudes other than El Pajero ese. Does anyone know these two guys on the bottom?
And you collectively own the means of production, and by the means of production, that's basically businesses. I think that's what socialism is. That's the broadest kind of tent of socialism that I think is the biggest through line of socialist thinkers. And I guess to go on with my opening statement, even though it was phrased as a question, why is this preferable to capitalism? So I fundamentally now describe myself as a socialist because I came to a developed egalitarian view where egalitarianism is something that I think is intrinsically valuable for a number of reasons. We can relate to each other as equals. I think that's a good thing, morally speaking. I think that the distributional principle of...
wait, I've put my chat window in the wrong place. Now I can't watch the notes. This is interesting. We get to see fucking Destiny's fucking notes. I've not noticed this before. How do you expropriate? Well, I guess that kind of depends on what the ruling class is willing to do.
Equal access to advantage, where advantage is welfare and resources, established by G.A. Cohen. I think those are sensible egalitarian views as well. And capitalism violates this in a number of ways.
He puts profits in inverted commas. Like, it's not... Like, does he deny... Is he a profit denialist?
It violates it because of the private ownership of the means of production, sort of unequally distributing wealth in society, right? And unequally distributed wealth means unequally distributed capital.
He's doing the thing. He's doing the thing. Because it's like... you know the thing, where you try to make a general case on principle for communism or socialism or whatever, then someone's like, okay, I think I'm following you here. But, okay, so the, how do you, what procedure do you use after your revolution to modify the agenda items on the general meeting, of the Trade Union Supervisory Committee of the Dog Toy Manufacturers Union during their negotiations with the Rubber Manufacturers Union? And it's like, it's like literally no social change has ever happened with that level of granularity, and it's just the whole point is to sort of stop thinking.
Income, but it also means unequally distributed power in society, right? Wealthy people have a lot more power. They have a lot more
unclear vision of what socialism. Well, maybe wait until he finishes talking.
As Ryan Mullally would say, capacity, but I would just say freedom. And I think
all socialist good things happen in liberal capitalist systems. No, they don't.
That's probably not good, especially on balance of your other values. Essentially, if we can create a more equal society without destroying the economy or, destroying innovation or something.
I mean, what do you mean by without destroying the economy, though? I will have to say, because it's like you are destroying the capitalist system very clearly.
Like that, then I think that we should do it. And then maybe you'd sacrifice some level of utility or something for some radical increase in equality, perhaps. And so I think that that's just something that is important. I think that inequality itself needs a reason to exist, and our current.
I mean, it's really interesting to watch just how shallow his thinking is, because all this is attempted gotchas.
Equal society just does.
And also, I have to say, though I'm not actually a fan of the debate format in the first place, putting this up on screen like this is essentially allowing himself to interrupt the guy and put questions to him, bad faith questions, that he doesn't get to see and therefore is not answering.
Doesn't have a good enough reason, if you ask me. Now, to go on to finish out, I'll talk about my model very briefly. I think that the capital allocation, profit motive, these kind of competitive processes are important. The way
why? Okay. Important in what sense? Oh, okay. Wait, Progressive Victory? Oh, Xanderhal was involved in that shit. Brianna Wu was involved in Progressive Victory? Oh, well, that is... Okay, I did not realize that
that capitalism kind of works today is
the middle one is apparently an ex-orbiter turned socialist, according to the title of this video. An ex-destiny order.
That we have huge asset managers that allocate a huge proportion of the capital in society.
Okay. Now, it seems like this guy is very new to all of this, which is possibly why he is using the word capital in a very imprecise way.
So
holy shit, she ran it? God, I don't know how I didn't put that together. And fucking Xanderhal continues to posture as if he gives a fuck about trans people.
Basically, what I'm saying is we should transition that process, that capital management asset process, from private hands to public hands in the form of sovereign wealth funds and holding corporations.
This isn't socialism. This is literally just social democracy that he's talking about.
To where we can eat up a large chunk of the economy, if not the whole economy, if things just end up working out really, really well.
Literally, okay.
This, one small caveat before I, give it over to Wick and Destiny is when I reference countries, I've heard people say that I said that.
Yeah, okay, Sex Pestiny is also noticing that, yeah, sovereign wealth funds are run by fucking capitalists. I mean, they are owned by capitalists. And even if you make the state the owner of it, yeah, he's a sockdem. We've established that. I mean, I kind of figured with the American flag behind him.
this. I've never said this, and I won't say it today. I don't think that the Nordic countries are socialist countries, okay?
Okay, but I mean, they're not. Yeah, I mean, they're not. They are social democracies that are transitioning to neoliberalism. But like, okay, so what's his distinction? I wouldn't expect him to be making that statement because he is making the argument for like the Scandinavian countries' way of organizing things, i.e., sock dem shit.
I think that socialism is when you collectively own the means of production. Societies exist on a spectrum between total private ownership and total collective ownership. The socialist ideal, the capitalist ideal. The Nordic economies, the reason I reference them, is because they've engaged in a process of socializing at least a very large chunk of their economies. And we can see kind of the fruits of that, where they have reasonably decent levels of economic growth, employment, good unionization, things like that, high equality. And I think that those are just good examples of the process where I want to move society towards.
Oh god, and somebody in Destiny's chat's going, bro is a fucking communist. Like, no he isn't.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. Destiny, why is capitalism the superior system to whatever Econoboy just said?
I mean, what Econoboy just said is, like, capitalism. It's like, it's just fucking, it's social democracy at best.
Because capitalism is based. I just want to start off by saying that I spent a lot of time on Amazon because I was going to respond to Econoboy's horrible appropriation of violent communist flags and other stuff in the background. I was going to buy a bunch of Nazi, and they don't actually sell Nazi flags on Amazon.
Wait. His appropriation of communist flags? I mean, he doesn't have any.
So I don't appreciate that. I feel like it's very one-sided in how they run things over there. When it comes to like a larger discussion on this, I don't know if I need to clarify this or not, but I guess just for anybody listening who doesn't catch everything on every platform, obviously there were a lot of heated debates between me and Pisco and Econoboy and other members of different communities.
Yes, most of which center on the fact that this motherfucker doesn't do a better job of defining these things because he is allergic to knowledge.
Having to do with like leftists and tankies and bad actors and everything.
Bad actor? Who are the bad actors? I mean, I find it fascinating that this motherfucker, he's been so comprehensively cooked for all the fucking, for all the Sex Destiny shit. And he's gonna call other people bad actors? I mean, not to mention, like, going on a propaganda junket to Israel, or, you know, supported by Netanyahu's personal propaganda guy?
Just to clarify for the 50 millionth time, I don't think Econoboy is a secret tanky. I don't think he's secretly trying to be subversive or doing things.
That's an insult.
I do disagree, I think, fundamentally with a lot of his platform, but not in the same way that I would say that, like, other, like, Marxist-Leninists are bad faith actors.
Yeah, what do you mean, other? I mean, okay.
Trying to worm the way into the system.
I just looking at the flags, I don't think this dude's an ML.
Destroy everything in a way that they're not upfront about. Just, I guess, for anybody that needs to hear that or isn't clear of that. So I guess our conversation will probably revolve around a few things in this debate or conversation, whatever we call this. So I think the first issue I have is I think there's like an unclear vision of what socialism actually is or means. I guess kind of ironic, or not ironic, but funny, I guess that kind of started off clarifying, you know.
Yeah, like, I mean, this just reminds me of how in, several years ago, he had a debate with Luna Uy and American Johnson of, like, Non-Compete, and they both tried to explain the difference. You know, she's an ML, he's an anarchist, although I think he's, like, at this point, somewhat more of an ML than an anarchist. They both tried to explain the difference between Marxism-Leninism and anarchism, and Destiny didn't get it either time. So, fuck knows what he thinks an ML is.
what his version of socialism is, that he doesn't think that Nordic countries are socialist. And it seems like that on one hand you want to say, not Economy in general, but on one hand, like, people want to say that they're socialist, but then you fight so much against like what socialism means or what it doesn't mean that the label starts to become meaningless.
Well, maybe, see, what that is that there's a lot of debate amongst people calling people who would identify themselves as socialist about what the thing means. That doesn't mean it's lost meaning. It means that actually there are lots of strains of thought in here.
And
yeah, of course, he doesn't understand any of this stuff. I mean, for him, all of this is about gotcha material.
I think that the issue is that it allows for a lot of bad faith actors.
The trouble is that this guy, Econoboy, apparently. Oh yeah, I mean, these days I would definitely tend to think he is, but he wasn't. If you go back like 4 or 5 years, he was describing himself as an anarcho-communist.
To come in and kind of usurp that label and use it as kind of a disguise or a mask for more insidious views. So
More insidious views, motherfucker. Like, you're the most insidious person on this screen, though.
One reason I don't like the socialist label, if what somebody's advocating for is largely liberal or works in a liberal or capitalist framework. I think that there are huge moral and democratic questions about what the expropriation of property ultimately looks like. A lot of the examples I think that Econoboy gives for how we could expropriate property, I think, are a little bit unsatisfactory.
I mean, he literally did not actually go into how, so you can't really say that his explanation was unsatisfactory. It was not even actually particularly clear to me that he was saying that ever happens. Which is one of the many reasons that, this isn't really...
So when we bring up things like civil asset forfeiture or things like that...
Oh, that hilarious time when Vosh actually went and, like, defended Nazi propaganda, and then lied and said that it was actually EJ and Luna defending Nazi propaganda, as if the thing wasn't on video.
Eminent domain, like, we're not taking these things to socialize them or to make them like a part of a socialist economy. Usually they're done for other reasons, sometimes for punishments for crimes or sometimes for necessary government projects. I don't think that those comparisons are the same as trying to acquire 90 to 100% of the overall capital of the United States, with the ownership of the government. I think that when we talk about...
He seems to think that it's eminent domain.
Arianism, and when we talk about idealized forms of economies, I don't know how much time we'll argue this, but I think it's interesting that you always hear this argument, even capitalists give here, socialists will say, and capitalists will say, well, socialism only works in an idealized form of society where there's no human greed, and in an ideal world, maybe...
Yeah, well, I mean, no, I've heard, like, reactionaries, like, anti-socialists. Yeah, except that he was... I mean, in that case, it wasn't so much making fun of non-compete as just lying about him in order to cover up the fact that Vosh was doing some more Nazi shit.
Maybe we'd be socialist. But I don't actually know why that's true. I feel like people assume that, and it's not necessarily the case. Like, I can envision an ideal socialist world where everybody shares in the means of production and we all get the fruits of our own labor. And
I mean, I don't think you can, actually. Every time you've tried to explain what you think these things mean, it has fallen pretty flat.
We all can do that, sure. But I could also conceive of an ideal capitalist world where everybody has really high-paying jobs. They can choose who they want to work for.
Yeah, but the thing is that literally that would not work within capitalism because the whole fucking system, the math does not math. Well, like, if everybody has really high-paying jobs, then bosses are not going to be making profits. And if bosses aren't making profits in capitalism, bosses are broke. Like, I mean...
point in time and quit and leave, and, like, I feel like you could...
Okay, why is he drinking out of what looks like a pedal bin?
Have idealized versions of both worlds. It's just difficult because with capitalism, there's a real-world implementation of that, and you have to fight on that real-world implementation, and then on the socialist version, you have to fight on the kind of, like, idealized or utopian version. So
Maybe we are. I mean, that is entirely possible.
Harder to kind of like point out flaws.
That we're talking about different videos.
5, I think, for the 4th point, I got socializing profits is a thing that socialists always talk about. Like, we want equal ownership in the means of production so that we can all kind of reap the rewards. And
No, yeah, but that isn't it isn't socializing profits, it's getting rid of profit.
I think that's an attractive quality about sharing in the ownership of the means of production, but it also means socializing decisions.
Yeah, I know, it does. That's part of the idea, too. That is literally, I mean, he's saying this like... Yeah, he's saying this as if this is some sort of gotcha, but like literally the idea is that you're socializing the means of production, socializing all these things so that we all can share in them and we can all share in the decisions about how they get used. Like this, that isn't a but, that's an and.
And I feel like there's not as much time paid to the socializing decisions parts. So for instance, if the government owns 90 to 100% of all the capital in the country, that means that every new business started kind of has to be started by the government. So,
well, yeah, but then we're just in state capitalism. I mean, that is just taking like post-war social democracy to the nth degree. That isn't socialism. It isn't socialism because the government owns stuff.
Are we taking votes on that? Are they going to be picking winners and losers? Are they going to decide, whether or not there's an 18 or older ID verification limit on my graphic consumption, or whether or not League of Legends gets canceled for Dota 2 or whatever else? And then I think that for the final thing,
like what?
This is kind of a general complaint I've had. When people talk about like, we got these really good things because of socialism in the United States, whether you're...
Yeah, except when people do that, it's because they don't know what socialism is. They're literally saying, we got these good things because they were government programs. That's not... That which is not socialism. I mean, people who say that, they just don't know what the fuck socialism is.
Talking minimum wage or 40-hour work weeks or whatever else, I think it's important to clarify that all of these things are happening in a liberal system, and there are good things that can happen from lots of different modes of economic production and lots of different countries that can happen in a liberal capitalist system. But if we were to move to a...
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, yes, there are people who say that. And I will say it is not entirely 100% inconsistent with some of the more wishy-washy things that Econoboy said. But that is not what Econoboy was saying. In fact, he specifically said he does not consider the Scandinavian countries to be socialist. It's not entirely clear what he does consider to be socialist.
Fully socialist system, we could only do the good socialist things. You wouldn't have any of the good capitalist things, and I think that is problematic.
Okay,
Yeah, like, that point, that it literally isn't something Econoboy said.
Is that your goal, Econoboy, to move to a entirely socialist system?
Like... We still haven't really had a clear definition of what that means. So far, what he's been describing sounds a lot like fucking social democracy, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's moral reasons to think that
Hola,
the socialist ideal of complete social ownership of businesses would be a good...
Which, again, social ownership is not the same thing as state ownership.
Good thing, right? That... again, if we could, and this is something that I've said before, I think a kind of a typical argument that people will make against socialism is, oh, well, it looks great on paper, which is to say, like, intuitively, sure, like a totally egalitarian system looks great, but it just doesn't work, right? We just can't make it work for one reason or another.
Whereas capitalism doesn't look very good on paper, and... in implementation, it is literally raising the threat of medium-term human extinction.
I would say that, look, I mean, I guess I don't know, as we move through the process of, like, fully socializing the economy, exactly what it would look like when we start to get to 80, 85, 90% of businesses being collectively owned. But I think that there's strong reason to believe...
Well, I mean, one thing is they wouldn't be businesses, exactly. I mean, this seems like somebody who appreciates the idea, but it does not understand Yeah, exactly. I mean, state ownership and socialization of the means of production are two very different things. And he's saying sovereign wealth funds. Which, I mean, that's a new wrinkle and definitely, like, makes no fucking sense.
That we can at least get a great majority of the way there without these kind of huge deleterious effects on the economy.
Define the economy, because this is a thing. This is a problem, and, like, if you're going to argue, I mean, especially if you're trying to make an anti-capitalist argument, you have to pick apart the term the economy. Because we are like led to believe to treat the economy as if it were this monolithic thing, and sometimes the economy is good, and we all want the economy to be good because that means it's good for all of us. And sometimes the economy is bad, and it's bad for all of us. And it's like that's not how a capitalist economy works. There are fundamental conflicts of interest within there. And when you look at what, like, standard mainstream economic indicators that are used, they are overwhelmingly looking at how capitalists are doing. Like, literally, you have to go to some very niche areas of economics to find indicators that are specifically designed to get an idea of how the working class is doing. I mean, and there is some interesting research there on indicators like sort of the cost of job loss is a good one, which measures working class bargaining power by looking at the ratio of, like, resignations to firings and also, like, the social wage in order to determine just how much pressure a capitalist can put on a worker at a given time. But, like, so when you say when he's saying, like, oh, without hurting the economy, well, I mean, it will be like, if we accept that the economy in the sense that you hear it in, say, the Wall Street Journal or, like, you know, mainstream reporting on economic issues, then it will hurt the economy, because the economy is rich people. And it is going to hurt rich people because we're taking their shit.
And at the end of the day, I'm not super stubborn about this. Like, if we get to, whatever, 75%, like, we've replaced institutional private investors with institutional public investors, which is to say about 75% of this.
Like, why are they still investors, though? Like, this is somebody who has not really... This is somebody, I don't know who this is, and I want to be very charitable. I feel like he's very new to this. And if he should happen to see this, which is extremely unlikely, you might want to look into the concepts of the commodity form. And, yeah, I mean, exchange value versus utility value, which are, you know, some very useful analytical concepts that we get from Marx and Engels and have been further developed by quite a few other people. But the point is that, you know, if you're having socialism, the idea is to get rid of the commodity form. It is to produce things for the purpose of having things that do the things that these things do, that fulfill the need that these things fulfill. Like, the reason, like, in capitalism, you make cars for profit, to sell them on the market for a profit. You make condoms to sell them on the market for a profit. You make fucking fidget spinners to sell them. Literally everything is done because they are all commodities. The whole point of socialism and communism is that you get rid of that commodification and you produce the things because people need those things, rather than just producing them in order to have something to sell. And it seems like he has not given a whole lot of thought to that. I mean, and maybe this is because he's new to all of that. And if he's new to all, I mean, that's cool. Welcome. There's a whole fucking library of stuff that you'll probably find very interesting. But, like,
stock market and all this kind of stuff.
This is exactly the sort of person that, like, Sex Pestany would love to argue with. because he's very new to this. He does not have a very deep analysis of any of this. He's just basically gotten to he understands the moral appeal of it, but does not really have the sort of deep analysis that generally tends to take a lot longer to get.
Stuff is owned publicly instead of privately. And all of a sudden, we have this kind of like radically egalitarian system compared to what we had before with similar standards of living. I guess I'm just not so offended by that, right?
I mean, also, the thing is, on similar standards of living, we do have to, if we're going to be talking about this seriously, we also have to talk about the fact that there is a rest of world, that there is other places. And in the global south, people are, in order to maintain the living standards of the imperial core, especially the living standards of the ruling class in the imperial core, there are people who are working for fuck all. So is this, are we just going to have, social democracy in one country and maintain that? Because that sounds kind of shitty, actually.
But in our current system, where we have just such a high level of inequality, wealth inequality, income inequality, and what I think to be pretty obvious solutions towards fixing that problem in pretty direct ways, and we can look at other examples of countries that have done that, we should certainly do it, because I think that most people have, at the very least, egalitarian instincts, and so we should move toward that direction, even if once we get there, it's like, we have to kind of make some sticky decisions on the edge. I think that the bigger discussion is, should we move towards that direction?
I'm kind of thinking maybe we might move in the direction of a different video fairly soon. Actually. Okay, we were talking about Xanderhal a minute ago and how he was connected. Okay, this explains why he was doing so much pro-Israel bullshit. Because if the progressive victory thing, I did not realize that tied in with Brianna Wu, but knowing that it did, that explains why he was so fucking pro-Israel during the during the 24 portion of the genocide.
I can say pretty safely that I have been doing politics content online long enough that I can observe patterns and trends and make relatively educated...
I mean, okay, observe patterns and trends maybe, but relatively educated, no. Not Xanderhal. That motherfucker, he's relatively a number of things. Educated is not one of the adjectives that I would put in there.
Guesses about the future. And I may be tooting my own horn a little bit here, but I'd like to say I predicted the current state of political destruction that the left, particularly online as a community and movement, has recently experienced.
Okay, what does he even mean by that?
And under normal circumstances, I think many would be like, oh, well, why does it matter that the left has a presence online? But I'd say most people over the last 6 months, especially who are here, have all felt the effect of the right gaining such a strong cultural presence.
But they already had that. So this is from 2 months ago, apparently. But he could have said this, he could have literally said this all the way back in 2016. He could have said this before that. So he's predicting something that was already the case. Wow.
The internet, especially...
That's amazing. He's fucking Nostradamus.
Things are so toxic now. Around everything. Everything is so toxic now. Every comment section, every story.
Wow, YouTube comments are toxic. Who would have thought? Man, Nostradingus strikes again.
Every video in your recommended, it's always so toxic.
Like, you're just literally describing normal shit, though. This is not new. This is something there are fucking videos by him talking about exactly this, 8-9 years ago.
Always meant to make you mad. The algorithms have optimized themselves so heavily around rage bait that it's really hard to find anything enjoyable that isn't meant to make you unhappy. Like, anything entertaining that isn't meant to make you unhappy.
This must be why my recommendations include Xanderhal, because he is not entertaining, and he does not make me happy.
I should say. And this is really, I think, led to a lot of people kind of getting burned out, not just on politics, but the internet. Like, the internet is in a rough place right now, across the board. Social media sucks. Google fucking blows the search engine now. AI is taking over. The dead internet theory is clearly real. And because of all of this, I feel that there's been a pretty big change in the state of politics right now.
Wait. What?
And because of that, I thought we'd take a look at this new video by a beloved creator within the political sphere of the internet named JReg, produced recently. Now,
JReg, who? Okay, that name does not ring any bells. Chat, is that somebody any of you is familiar with?
Many of you guys, as surprising as it would be a couple of years ago, probably don't even know who JReg is. This is his YouTube channel.
Warhammer 40k political ideologies. My contribution to the trade war.
He's not, I think he's definitely like left-leaning, or maybe even a leftist, but he makes very like meta conversation political content. Like, yes, he's left-leaning, but a lot of his content is more...
Well, I mean, if fucking Xanderhal hesitates to call him a leftist, he's a centrist.
Or meant to talk about and parody politics online as a whole, and less so any particular side or group. It's like, my videos are about...
Oh, so he's... Okay, so he's doing centrist comedy?
What this era of politics online, what the culture of politics online is at this moment. You can actually go back to like 4 years ago and watch his videos and get a really good read of what online leftist, conservative, Nazi, or radical communist culture was like any year that he released a video. Like, it's like...
Okay, now I immediately assume that is probably not the case. And I feel like I might have to go through this guy's videos and look at one of them on stream at some point.
It's like a little course sample, or like carbon dating of like how political engagement was in any given era.
That's not what carbon dating does.
And recently he released a video called Political Meta Update, where, based on what I can tell, he is talking about exactly the issues I've been ranting about lately. And people have been recommending I finally watch this video, as I have put it off the last couple days, so...
Oh, so we are going to actually get to see a video of his, filtered through this dickhead.
I say, why not? Let's hop right into it. Let's find out what's going on. Political Meta Update. There will, of course, be a link down below at the top of the description to JReg's original video. We love JReg.
Wait a second. Balkanized left, and let's see who he's got in there. Okay, Hassan Vush, and then Destiny and Ethan fucking Klein? Like, okay, that tells us a lot about where this guy is coming from, including the fact, like, he cannot tell a liberal from a leftist.
Go send some support. His stuff is good. Let's see what he has to say.
Meta has shifted quite a bit since I've started doing this shtick, and I thought it would be wise to do a political meta update talking about all the new emerging tribes happening on the internet. Now, obviously,
the emerging tribes, okay.
A lot of this is just internet nonsense and has very little bearing on reality as it is, but things that seem silly now are probably going to be real in 5 years. Let's start with the new tribe emerging on the right.
That's true.
Post-racial fascism. This has been called...
Wait, he just noticed this. First of all, they're not post-racial. I mean, that is already a nonsensical term, because they're extremely intra. They are definitely very racial, is the first thing. The fact that they occasionally they use tokenization, that is not new. Like, this video is new, apparently, and he's talking about shit that, you know, we've been talking about for over a decade. I mean...
which is just the idea that you can't reliably hope for the ethnic vote to go to the Democrats anymore.
Actually, what is the ethnic vote? What is the ethnic vote?
Trump won big with ethnic minorities. And
No, he didn't, actually. That's not true. He did not win big with them. What happened was that their share increased. But the thing is, when your share is tiny to begin with, that is not hard. Like, if you're a political party with one member, and you get 2 members, you are going to be the fastest growing political movement there is. Like, so already this is nonsense.
This is weird because, you know, Trump was called a fascist a lot.
Yeah, they are right-wingers.
And I would like to propose that Trump actually is a fascist, but that fascism doesn't have to be racist or be unappealing towards ethnic minorities.
Except that it is virtually always.
And someone like Kash Patel, who is actively saying that they're going to use the power of the...
I swear to God, no pre-watching. No pre-watching at all. I have not watched a second of this video.
I am jealous of anyone who has not watched a second of this video.
My rant about Kash Patel, like 10 minutes ago, was completely organic. Completely out of nowhere. I literally, when I was thinking, who is the biggest Trump glazer with a ton of power over whether or not he goes to prison, like, out there, I thought Kash Patel, okay? I swear, I did not pre-watch, okay?
Wow.
Kash Patel's relevant, okay? I did not pre-watch, I swear. But damn, is that a coincidence that this motherfucker came up twice. I have 2 nickels.
The state to persecute my political opponents seems kind of fascist to me. But also, look at this guy. He's not exactly a honky. So stay with me. I know that fascist...
Cafiero. Okay, interesting. Not familiar with him. I'm familiar with the name Cafiero mostly because of a song by Fabrizio De André called Don Rafael. But, okay, that's interesting.
Fascism is seen as being associated with the Nazis and hating Jews and, you know...
yeah, which is accurate.
Donald Trump is certainly not a white supremacist.
Yes, he is. He's certainly...
He certainly doesn't hate Jews, so...
Yes, he does. Like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? He's the most openly anti-Semitic president the U.S. has had probably since World War II.
How could you call him a fascist? Well, fascism really got a bad name from the Nazis. I feel...
Oh, wow, fascism got a bad name, did it?
Like, I feel like as soon as I say that sentence, I shouldn't continue the thought.
Yeah, I agree, dude. You absolutely should not continue the thought.
But if you just look at fascism as an ideology, there's nothing that says it has to be racist.
I mean, yeah, except it always has been. Because fascism fundamentally is about defending, maintaining traditional existing hierarchies within capitalist society. And that includes racist hierarchies.
Let me read you a quote, okay? I know I'm losing you. Let me read you
Yeah, you should be. Anyone who knows anything about this should be like, who the fuck is this jabroni and why am I watching it?
Race, it is a feeling, not a reality. 95% at least is a feeling. Nothing will ever make me believe that biologically pure races can be shown to exist today. National pride has no need of the delirium of race.
I think that right now... okay, so years ago, when the left had a much stronger foothold on the internet, the left was kind of split between 2 big sides, if you wanted to generalize things. Dirtbag left and woke scolds.
Really? Okay, first of all, he's still using Ben Shapiro's term for... yeah.
Dirtbag left tended to be people that... They were edgy, But like,
yeah, and we're often a little bit fash adjacent, and a lot of them these days actually, do collabs with fash.
to give you an idea, like the average dirtbag leftist audience, like.
I'm just saving that link that you posted of the... Oh, wait, hell. Cafiro. Book. So that I remember it. Gonna drop this in the Discord too, so that it's easier to find. And if you're not in the Discord, here's how you can change that.
Half of the chat would go crazy if the creator said the retard.
Yeah, well, yes, because it's a fucking slur, and it's kind of fucked up to be doing ableism. Xanderhal, of course, gets really angry when you point out that ableism sucks, because he likes ableism, and he sucks. I actually have a video on the subject.
You know? Like, the dirtbag left, which is what I was considered part of, was...
I mean, he was considered part of that, was he? I thought he was just an ex-Nazi who actually isn't very ex.
Not that dirtbaggy, really. It was just sort of like a sector of left-wing creators known, and fans of those creators, known for kind of...
not giving a shit about marginalized people.
Trying to use the methods of the right against them and kind of being a confrontational asshole back to them.
Well, I mean, I will agree that Xanderhal is an asshole.
Which is not something that was expected of the left and was a very big novelty for a time. But at the end of the day, there were a lot of criticisms to be had of the other side, which were the woke scolds.
So there's no criticisms of the people who would, like, slur people with disabilities and slag off marginalized people. The people that somebody who used to be a Nazi, and still kind of is one, would be most comfortable with. That's interesting. There's no criticisms of them to be had, apparently, according to Xanderhal. But the people who actually don't think that you should slag off marginalized people, there are criticisms to be had of them.
The woke scolds had a hyper-obsession with identity politics. And famously, they would cancel the fuck out of progressive figures who did anything they didn't like. ContraPoints was a big target of this. In fact, Lindsay Ellis, I don't know if she still quit YouTube, but Lindsay Ellis quit YouTube for at least a year. Maybe she's still gone.
But of course, what he means by cancel is they criticized prominent people for saying shitty things about marginalized people.
All because of harassment she received from this woke scold crowd. She literally tweeted that she thought the movie Raya the Last Dragon was copying Avatar the Last Airbender. Twitter decided it was racist of her to say that, and harassed her till the point where she was literally having, like, she was shitting blood is what she said in her I'm leaving the internet post. Which is just, that's a lot of stress if that's what's happening.
Yeah, like, well, it's funny that, I mean, it's interesting to see Xanderhal, like, suddenly being opposed to internet harassment. Because he actually participated in the racist hate mobs that basically harassed Professor Flowers off of YouTube. Because she was because she was for decolonization, and fucking Bush and Xanderhal decided that meant she wanted white genocide, which is a totally a real thing, and not some bullshit Nazis made up. And they just decided to just smear her all over the internet. So yeah, Xanderhal is talking about internet harassment. That's great.
Scolds were brutal, okay? These were the cancel-happy, like, rabid Twitter freaks that the right likes to talk about, you know?
It's always great when you're trying to find ways to validate bullshit fascists say. That's always a wonderful thing to be doing, to be figuring out the most charitable way to read fascist people smearing others.
Although they call everyone on the left that, the people whom they banked off of coming to mind when they said that did exist, and they were those people. They had a hyper obsession with identity politics. Famously, they canceled me because I outright said, yes, I, as a white dude, do have a better opinion on race dynamics in America than Candace Owens, who's a black woman.
Well, no, people didn't cancel you for that, Xanderhal. People pointed out that that's bullshit. I mean, see, that's the thing. This is, he was apparently canceled. People pointed out that that was a nonsense thing to say. Because it is a nonsense thing to say. But what isn't a nonsense thing to say is that it is apparently time to wrap up now. So let me just thank you. Yes, famously, apparently. Thank everybody for joining in. It's always lovely to see you. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And if you enjoyed the stream and you'd like to support the stream, here's a link that I'm dropping in chat that offers one way of supporting the stream that is a real lifeline to me, helps me continue this work by helping me continue. Have a good night, and I will see you. Actually, you watch out for the news briefs. Actually, if you're in the Discord and you scroll up, you can find the two that I did. I'm starting to do a midweek thing where I do a video looking at like news stories and things that look interesting and worth talking about in a given week. So keep your eye out for those on the YouTube channel, because I'm going to be doing more of those. But other than that, I will see you at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Friday. See you next week.